welcome back to One Bills Live. Chris Brown with Steve Tasker, and it is that time in the show, that time in the week here on One Bills Live, where we try to stump Steve Tasker. As we know, Steve had a long and storied career with the Buffalo Bills. He had hundreds of teammates in his career. Who knows? Maybe thousands, Steve. It might be over 1,000. With all the guys that came through the door. If we count training camp rosters, you might be over 1,000.
Maybe. That's a lot, though. That's a lot.
Yeah, and your teams didn't have nearly as much turnover as we see today.
They did. But every training camp was, another 40 guys, so
right.
Maybe.
But in any event, it is Tasker's teammate. I believe this is edition 4, as we've done this 3 other times. We had Quinn Early, Leon Seals, and I'm trying to remember last edition.
Last week was Keith McKellar.
Oh, yeah, Keith McKellar, which you got in a record 3 clues. So right. you're getting better at this, Steve. So kudos to you. But we'll see if we can stump you this time around. So first clue on the board for this edition of Tasker's Teammate. I was a teammate of Steve Tasker's for 8 seasons, all of which were with the Bills, and included all 4 Super Bowl appearances.
Okay.
Any thoughts at all?
Mark Kelso.
It is not Mark Kelso. Okay, so there's the first guess, okay? In high school, clue number 2, in high school, I was not only a successful football player in Ohio, but also a successful wrestler. This is Tasker's teammate, clue number 2. And if we have any game show music back at the GR Studios, we'd certainly appreciate those.
The wrestler. Man, that's big. Hold on.
I was trying. I don't want to give it away early, so I'm trying to be cryptic with these clues.
I don't think Darryl Talley.
He is a Cleveland native, but it is not Darryl Talley. That was not
I didn't think he was a wrestler. I
don't know if he was. We'd have to ask him sometime.
What about Ray Bentley?
It's not Ray Bentley. Okay, here we go. Clue number 3.
Ohio.
Okay, I continued my success as a football player in college as I was a first-team All-American and was a high draft choice of the Buffalo Bills.
Henry Jones.
It is not Henry Jones.
He wasn't there for all 4 Super Bowls. He was there for 3, the last 3.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, so that was clue number 3.
All right, hold on. He was an All-American high school. He was a wrestler in high school.
Yep.
And what was the last one you just gave?
First team All-American in college and was a high draft choice of the Bills. I couldn't give you the year. It would give it away. So that's 3 clues down. Oh, you want to take another stab before I go to clue number 4?
Yeah, Reuben Brown.
It is not Reuben Brown. Reuben's a Virginia native. He's not from Ohio.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
Okay, so here's clue number 4. I was an 11-year starter for the Bills, and over that span, I missed just 12 starts.
Oh, I know who that is. That's Jimmy Richer.
Ding, 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 ding. Steve, well done.
Findlay, Ohio. Yeah, he was Jimmy Richer.
All right, well, good job. I
should have known that. I should have gotten that on the wrestler. I forgot it. I forgot about it. Not Findlay, Ohio. He was Hinckley, Ohio.
Hinckley.
Yeah, well, on Wikipedia could be wrong, but they're telling me Berea, so I don't know if that's right or not. But we have Jim on the line, so he can confirm for us. So, Jim, thanks for joining us. Steve guessed you in 4 clues.
Yeah, Sebby, good job.
Thanks. Now, aren't you the place in Ohio where the Buzzards return every year?
Exactly, Hinckley. You know, when I first went to college, of course, I've never been very smart, but when I first went to college, they said, "Where were you born?" And I was born in a hospital in Berea, so I said Berea, Ohio, and they've always used that as like my hometown. So it always says Berea, wherever it says, from Berea.
Right. I should have gotten you on the second clue with wrestler in high school because I knew that was I knew you were a really good wrestler. And didn't you wrestle a little bit in college as well?
I always tell people I'm an undefeated collegiate wrestler because when I was a freshman, there was another Bill. He was 4 years older. He went to the University of North Carolina. D. Hardison, and D was a defensive tackle for the Bills, but he played at UNC, and he is also a wrestler. So he had won the ACC the year before. Well, they came to me during wrestling season, and I hadn't wrestled. We weren't even working out yet, I don't think, for football. So I'm totally out of shape, and but they knew I was a wrestler in high school, and the heavyweight had come down with a staph infection from state. And they were wrestling UNC that night over at UNC. And, of course, it was going to be against D. Hardison, who was, like, the strongest man in the planet. And, the wrestling coach came to me and said, well, you've got to wrestle for us. And I'm going, no, I'm not going to wrestle, I'm way out of shape. I'll get killed out there, And the football coaches came to me and said, you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it. So I'm like, go over there, but they had played in a bowl game, so they weren't sure. But and I think they were going to win anyway, so they didn't even put the out there. They put the guy that had been wrestling. And I ended up winning, but I was so tired I couldn't even get on my feet to for them to raise my hand. I won, but they raised my hand with me on my knees, and I've never been so tired. They said, you got to come out, you got to be a wrestler for us. I said, no, that's it. I'm an undefeated collegiate wrestler. I'm done.
That's it.
But
that's
Jim,
great.
What would you say is the biggest difference in terms of the stamina and endurance that you have to have for wrestling as opposed to football? I would tend to think that, football is a lot of short, intense bursts of high intense, activity, but then wrestling is just sustained and constant for like 3-4 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's only a few minutes. You probably, overall in a football game, will put out that amount of exertion, say the 6 minutes or whatever. In high school, I think it was 2-2-2, and it might be 3-2-2 in college. I don't even remember anymore. But, you're talking 6, 7, 8 minutes, maybe most, and you do that in a football game. It's like you said, it's full exertion, for a couple seconds at each time, and you might do it 65, 70 times or so during a game, but it's only those, few 3-4 seconds, and you recover where you're out there and you're struggling either to get up or get out of a hole.
You're just going.
Yeah,
right.
And it wears you out, and so like I was really low, and when we're up on our feet, in the first period, and by the second period, I looked like Frankenstein walking around with stiff legs and my arms out in front of me. I was so tired. I'll never do that
Jimmy,
again.
You're one of the guys. We had a guest on who she did an article about how offensive linemen, when they leave the game, they either go one way or the other. They either go up to like 400 pounds or they drop down and they become looking like a regular athlete walking around. And I know we've crossed paths a ton of times since you've finished playing. You were one of the guys that kind of trimmed down. What was the absolute most you ever weighed as an NFL player? And then now as a guy who's out, what's your playing weight now, as it were?
Well, I've always been sort of a yo-yo. Even when I was playing, it was always up and down, and I still do that. I'll tend to lose a little bit of weight, and I might get down to. I've been down as far, going down to something down at Kent Hall's down in Mississippi. I was down to right around 210 pounds, but right now I'm around 235, 240. So I'm back up. But playing, the most I ever weighed, I stepped on the scale, and it was the first day of training camp, and Fred and I had been, he had come up early, and we'd been really working on getting my weight up, and I was really going to, and I was 284. We were drinking these fraps, all the things he was making, and, I think we were putting 16 eggs in this frap that he was making, and, I got up to 284 the first day of practice, and I lost like 12 or 15 pounds the first day, all water, of course, sweating, but I never hit 284 again, and so most of my playing time, I was between anywhere from, in Atlanta, I was like 255, but anywhere from that to, I would hit 275, usually, during the season I could get up there, but I could never hold it. I was Rusty
Right.
would weigh us in, and I'd weigh 265, and he would, the coaches would be adamant I had to weigh, at least over 270. They said they were going to replace me, so I'd be hiding weights, in my shorts and into my socks and under my hat. One time they made me weigh in naked, but I had a hat on, but I did have weights underneath the hat, and I'm walking up and I look at Fred and I said, see, because he's always getting on. He says, you probably have weights under your hat, and I'm like, shut up. They'll probably look underneath there. Rusty thought I was a terrorist all the time.
That's the way it really was. I mean, and I remember this too. One of the reasons you could play at a weight that was less than a lot of other guys is because of your strength, and also because they used you a lot of times. There were times when I swore up and down you probably could outrun me. I mean, you were one of the fastest, most athletic offensive linemen, and you actually went to the Pro Bowl because of that athleticism.
There wasn't no one going to outrun you, Sevy.
Yeah, but it looked like, I'll tell you what, it looked like if I was playing offensive line, I don't think I could keep up with you.
There's a lot of guys that you can tell how much heart a person has, like Sevy. There might be faster people out there, but when you're the first one down on the kickoff team, that just shows what a big, because a lot of guys are running down looking who's going to hit them or whatever. And Sevy was smart enough. He knew, and to get down there fast before anyone could get turned around. And, but that just shows what a big heart and what a great player Sevy always was. Kickoff team, whatever it was, kickoff return, punt return. I don't think there was a special team you didn't play, was there?
I didn't play field goal. I did play that. I was a holder for field goal. Once in a while, I think once or twice in my career was on field goal defense. I rushed the kick or something. But that's I did it all at one point or another.
Yeah, that's right. Jim, I do have to ask you because I was just curious about this. I know Lou Holtz was your coach at NC State, and I've heard stories that he did quite the salesman job on you, making North Carolina seem like paradise. When he was recruiting you in high school. Was he any different back then as to the much more higher profile national personality that more people got to know him at later in his career, when he was coaching Notre Dame and then thereafter, doing broadcasting? Was he the same guy then?
Well, I have to tell you, I don't know that much about Lou Holtz. I got to know him a little bit. He spoke at an all-district banquet that I was at. He was the featured speaker there, and I really enjoyed him. He brought Dave and Don Bucky, who was from the area, that was the quarterback and wide receiver tandem at North Carolina State at the time. Really good players. They played with the Jets. What ended up happening was he signed me on Friday, and that, up in Ohio, he said, I'm about 80% sure I'm going to stay at North Carolina State. He said, but, the Jets are offering me a contract that's really hard to refuse. It was a lot of money, a house, and all this. He said, but I'm about 80% sure I'm going to stay. He said, I'll know Monday. He said, if you want to wait till Monday, he said, or you can sign now. He said, if it's me that you're coming, for North Carolina State for, wait till Monday. If there's other reasons that you want to come to North Carolina State. And I loved the university. I loved everything he said about it. I'd been there, and so I signed on Friday. But sure enough, he went to the Jets on Monday. So he was never my coach. He signed.
He was never your coach. He only recruited you. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then the last thing that I didn't know, Steve, about Jim was there was a lot of talk, and he was recruited a lot to be a defensive end in college, not an offensive lineman.
Well, that's what I was hoping to go as a defense. Well, I did go as a defensive end, and that's what Coach Holtz had recruited me for. But Paul Ryan, he was our coach at North Carolina State that took the job after Coach Holtz. The first day I walked on campus, he moved me to center, and of course tears were running down my face. I'm going, center? That's where your little sister. When you're playing backyard football, you snap the ball to the guys that can play football. I didn't want to play center, but it worked. And the Lord is really good. He blessed me in so many ways, and it worked out so well for me. I wish I could. I always want to believe that maybe I would have had that same success at defensive end, but I really doubt it.
Jimmy, thanks so much for coming on with us. I'm glad I guessed you. It's good hearing from you. I hope all's well. Tell Harriet and the kids I said hello.
Please do the same with Sarah and all your kids. I'm looking forward. I'm trying to get up there for Kelly's golf tournament, and maybe we'll see you up there in East Aurora.
All right. Looking forward to it, Jimmy. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Take care, brother.